Hi everyone, Renee here. So today's video is going to be all about the easiest and most convenient way to reapply sunscreen on our faces properly without touching our faces. I know nowadays we are all super conscious about touching our faces. Reapplying sunscreen is important, we know that, but if it's inconvenient to do, most likely we will not. Luckily, there are a bunch of choices available that make things a lot easier for us, and I have a couple of techniques I want to share that will make it so simple, there are no excuses. You might even enjoy it. So a few years ago, I did a video already about how to reapply sunscreen over makeup. So this is going to be an updated version of that with some new techniques and some new favorite formulas. But first, I want to quickly talk about application. So your initial base layer in the beginning of the day is really important. You want to make sure that you have good coverage. So I've shown you in my past skincare routines that I like to apply my sunscreen in 2 layers. It's just so much easier to do it that way. So rather than applying half a teaspoon of sunscreen on my face and neck, I will apply a 1/4 teaspoon 2 times. It dries down and rubs in so much faster that way, and also there's a lot less potential for a cast. But it turns out that that's better for protection as well, because you spend less time rubbing your sunscreen in, but also after your first layer dries down, when you apply a second layer, it just gives you better coverage and more even coverage. I'm also not legalistic about reapplication. I like to use skin tuition. So obviously after swimming or doing physical exercise, you want to reapply. There is not a sunscreen that is waterproof yet. I mean, there's water resistant up to about 80 minutes. But also if you're on the beach and you're wiping sand off, or at any point you're putting clothes back on and taking it off, then you need to reapply. The situation I encounter the most is that my sun exposure is in intervals. So I will have initial sun exposure, and then I will be indoors for a few hours, and then I will go out again. So every time before I know I'm going to have exposure again, that's when I reapply. And if ever in doubt, for extra reassurance, or if you're just super sensitive to the sun, then go with a higher SPF, because that will make up for bad application. In the US, you can find sunscreens with an SPF of 50 or higher. I mean, I've got an SPF of 85, and this is probably the highest I've ever seen, which is an SPF of 110 by Neutrogena. And Neutrogena did conduct all the studies and the clinicals that prove that a higher SPF can give you a lot more protection. My best friend and favorite tool for hands-free reapplication is this air cushion. What makes these so perfect is that they're designed to absorb as little product as possible. But also, anyone who's ever used a cushion compact knows that you can get a really even layer of product on your skin by just tapping, not by spreading or wiping. All you need to do is just tap, which is exactly what you want when you're applying sunscreen. And especially for reapplication, it will not disrupt your makeup because you're not like swiping anything off. I love a good sunscreen stick. It's one of my favorite formats for reapplication. It's just so easy, hands-free, and it also can apply a good even layer on your skin. Recently, I have been using Neutrogena's Sheer Zinc Mineral Sunscreen Stick with an SPF of 50. This has 21.6% zinc oxide, and what's really surprising is this is truly sheer. These days, mostly, I've been applying it over my skin even while I'm wearing a mask. And I don't really wear makeup these days, but it's just so easy to apply around exposed areas. And what I love about it is you can actually apply it in your eye area and it won't migrate. It won't sting your eyes. I just swipe this all over my face, and this is wide enough that it really gets a lot of surface area, but you can still get into the nooks and crannies as well. And while I'm swiping, if there are areas that are sort of thicker, a little crustier, I will actually use my air puff and just dab it in. It will blend out. I've applied this on any area that's exposed, on my neck, around my ears. If you have kids, it's great to use on them. It's great to use on your partner. I think this is great for sensitive skin. It has not felt astringent on my skin at all. I've worn this the entire day and my skin has felt fine, comfortable. Even around my eyes, it's been okay, and it hasn't dried my skin out. There's also no fragrance in here. This has been a trusty companion. You guys are already familiar with another one of my favorites for reapplication, which is the setting powder. I've talked about this already quite a few times from Supergoop. It's their Invincible setting powder with an SPF of 45. Many days right before I go out, when I already have a base of sunscreen, I will use this on just areas where I have hyperpigmentation or I am hyperpigmentation prone. Or if I have areas where I have red scarring from breakouts, I will just kind of like spot powder. And I can see that it really covers that area. Like, I make sure that I am liberal with my application of this. And you can be liberal without it just building up or getting cakey or anything like that. And this definitely has some long wearing power to it, because at the end of the day, when I'm trying to remove it, it's not that easy. I mean, you definitely need a thorough double cleanse. In fact, there have been days where I will reapply this and then this over it, and it works really well that way. I love a sunscreen compact. It doesn't really get more convenient than that. In fact, I even have a tutorial about how to make your own sunscreen compact, especially for days that you're going to be spending the whole time outdoors. If you're hiking, if you're traveling, it's just so easy. Previously, a lot of the Korean sunscreen compacts all have a tone-up effect, which is something I don't really like that much because it's pretty much a cast. You get a cast. But recently, I discovered this one from Whamisa. It is their Sun Pact Natural Expression with an SPF of 50 and a PA of 4 pluses. It's so nostalgic to be talking about Whamisa again. So I've been straight up obsessed with this. This uses zinc oxide, but also a slew of beautiful plant extracts, skin-loving ingredients. So this doesn't have a cushion sponge. You have to press down, and the sunscreen comes out of a bunch of holes, and then you just swipe your air cushion across it. And what that does is it kind of disperses the sunscreen across your cushion, so it's not just one blob. And you apply it the same way you would as a cushion foundation by just pressing it on your skin, and it creates an even layer of sunscreen on your skin. I mean, at first it's not sheared, but it dries down and it just turns invisible. But what I also love is it leaves this beautiful, glowy, radiant finish as well, which is so flattering. This does not disrupt your makeup. In fact, it's even good to use underneath your makeup. This is probably better for normal to dry skin types. I think if you have really oily skin, this may feel a bit much for you because this does actually feel like skincare. In fact, it's hydrating, but it's also kind of moisturizing as well, which I like. This has a very subtle scent, which really isn't that noticeable to me, and it does go away really quickly. Sunscreen mists have never been my favorite for reapplication, despite its popularity, for one reason: my eyes. They really sting my eyes. But also, the application always felt a little awkward to me for the face. For the body, it's absolutely fine. Actually, I love mists for the body, but for the face, there are certain areas that you will drench, while other areas are just not going to get a whole lot of coverage. But I've discovered a simple and easy way to apply it on my face and ensure an even coverage and some control. So I'm using Neutrogena's new Ultra Sheer Face Mist with an SPF of 55. Their Helioplex technology is known for and has been clinically studied for their stability and is some of the most powerful protection that you can get. So this uses chemical filters, but it does not have octinoxate or oxybenzone. So this applies completely sheer. It's also an oil-free formula, so it's very light and does not weigh the skin down, doesn't clog your pores. This is so easy to tote around, and it's not in an aerosol can. So what I do is I take an air cushion puff and I just drench it with the mist, and then I pat it on my skin. This will not disrupt your makeup. In fact, you can apply multiple layers of this. It is completely weightless. So these are my favorite ways to reapply sunscreen throughout the day. I hope that you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'm wishing you great skin health. Bye.